Welcome to Prison Professors. My name is Michael Santos, and I'm really thrilled to be able to introduce you to one of our clients. His name is Mario Hernandez, who had a great outcome from the criminal justice system. And he had that great outcome because he was willing to work. He was willing to do everything possible to prepare himself for the best possible outcome. Now, I don't want you to hear it from me. I want you to hear it directly from Mario. So, Mario, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are right now, at what stage in the journey? And then we'll get into your personal story and how you got to this stage in the journey. So where are you right now in your stage in the criminal justice system?
Well, I'm waiting to be to surrender myself within a couple of months. Thanks to the work we did, as a matter of fact, the judge decided not to arrest me right there. The prosecutor wanted me to be taken right there, but he didn't just not give me 5 weeks, the usual time they give you. He gave me practically a little bit more than 2 months to be able to fix stuff, and that has to do with the work we did, Michael. He read everything and he saw everything that we had done, and he was lenient big time, even giving me the surrender date. So right now I'm practically getting ready to enter, do my time, and leaving things ready for my family to be without me. Those at the most 2 years, but we started working to get the least time done.
So when you started, first of all, our audience probably would like to know what type of a case you are brought into the criminal justice system for. What? Just give us briefly. What type of case is it?
I was smuggling drugs all the way down to LA from Tijuana to LA, and I got stopped on San Clemente with a lot of cocaine.
And when you were stopped, what the amount of cocaine that was involved, what was the length of sentence that you were potentially looking at?
10 years to life.
10 years to life.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 10 years to life, and yet because of some of the decisions that you made, you'd like to, we can't say it's us because it's you who did all of the work, but all of the work that you did, it resulted in you getting a sentence that now has a maximum of 2 years. Is that right?
That's right. Immediately, yes. As soon as I got a hold of prison professors and white collar advice, what happened is, we started working on practically cutting that in half, with your advice. And the more we worked, I started to see the possibility of getting less. First step was the probation interview.
Before you get into that, okay, walk us through how you even heard about our group and what that did to you when you were exposed to it. How did you hear about us?
Yeah, so I spent 9 days at the correctional, after getting stopped, and I heard a lot of stuff in there. You learn fast. So as soon as I got out, I said, I cannot go through the same things these people in here are going through. Some of them were almost there a year expecting a result. And I started investigating, how can I get more information? How can I get less? What can I do to help myself in front of the judge? And,
did you do that while you were in jail or after you got out for those 9 days?
Those questions came up when I was in jail. When I got out, I started to look for an answer.
Okay.
And that's how I found Michael Santos in an interview. If I'm not mistaken, the first interview I saw of yourself was with a judge, and the judge saying, I want to see the work, the prisoners or the.
So did you reach out to me, or did you reach out to our team, or how did that work? Remind me.
I wrote an email to you. You answered. Honestly, really, really fast, within 24 hours, I think. And then you connected me to, can I say his name?
Yeah, please. That's what I want our audience to understand how the whole process works. So
you talked to me, pretty much you got the information of what I was going through, and you got me to talk to Justin Paperny, which he has been great. He has been amazing. He has been there all the time. And I started working with Justin. The whole steps, the SAC steps, And
So let's let our audience know that role. So I think that you probably found me because maybe my phone number or something was on there when you were Googling it. But at the end of the day, it's really Justin Paperny and his team that really works closely with people like you, Mario, and just guiding you through everything that you could possibly do to get ready for that lowest possible outcome. And I think maybe also they work to try and ease some of the anxiety that comes with anyone. Maybe you could walk a little bit about what level of anxiety and so on, and how Justin and his team and whatever members of the team you worked with, feel free to talk about them.
So it was Justin and Kathy. Kathy helped in the beginning. And Justin, I mean, he's kind of, I would look at him as a life coach that really knows the ropes of the system, what I'm going through right now. Really knows it. He exactly knows when I'm starting to lose it, when I'm starting to get anxious, nervous, worried, and knows how to get me back on track. He knew every time how to get me back on track. I think that was the main thing. That's what really helped me do the job. Get focused and do what I had to do to give to the judge and see that I was pretty much getting ready to re-enter into society before even entering to the prison.
When you spoke, you had a defense attorney who was representing you. What level of support, or perhaps how did your defense attorney respond to this realization that she was going to be working, or you were going to be working with a life coach or prison professors or a group that might help you get ready for sentencing and the journey?
The
reason I ask, Mario, just so you know, the reason I ask is that some defense attorneys really want to be the quarterback and they don't want anybody else interfering with the process. But yet we have found, and we have personally experienced, that it's actually the defendant whose life is spinning out of control, and the defense attorney isn't always there to provide that level of personal guidance and support and direction. But if an attorney objects to it, a lot of times it makes it our job more difficult. So I'd like to hear your experience, and it may have been good or bad. I don't know the answer.
Yes, definitely. They are not there. They cannot. They have I guess they have so many clients. They are a little bit they are part of the system. So it's hard for them to think outside the box. They already have things preset. They do things in a preset way according to what the judge, to what the prosecutor. They're part of that mechanism. So bringing outer help, it does kind of go against the grain, according to them. She didn't resist too much. She did put resistance because she wanted to be in control. I guess she felt better that way, but she did take all the information that I brought, all the work that I brought in. She did use it. She did take it. Sometimes it was a little bit hard for me to get through. I mean, it would get maybe a week, 10 days, a couple of weeks. What I would suggest to anybody that does what I'm doing is, your lawyer most likely will resist, but it's your life. It's your time. And you have to find the right way to deliver the information, deliver the work to your lawyer, and them not going against you, or them still wanting to work with you the same way they would if they were not feeling, they feel menaced by the fact that you're bringing so much work. But when we were in front of the judge and after we got the sentence, she just told me, I mean, yes, I did my work, but it was thanks to all the work you did, Mario, to all what you brought me.
You speak a lot about the work. I'd like you to help our audience understand, what is the work? What was the process? I know that we know now that you reached out, you found a video that I did. That's process 1. 2, you reached out. 3, I connected you with Justin Paperny. And then what happened in the process? What do you mean when you say the work?
Well, for example, I prepared, Justin prepared me and the paperwork and everything to deliver to Kathy. I'm sorry, to the probation officer. So that's the first step. The narrative.
What is the narrative? Help the audience understand what the narrative is and how that happened.
You practically tell your story, not just the moment they arrested. Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I lost you.
No, you're coming across beautifully. Keep talking.
Okay. So you help me with the narrative. There it is. The narrative is telling your story, not just the moment when they stop you, but your life story. They do want to see what happened. Who are you?
How did you do that? How did you get that narrative out? Walk us through the process.
You and I talk like God. I don't know how many hours, and you read me like a book. I mean, you really nailed me that way. You really got a hold of what the thread that pretty much went from the moment things started to get bad at home when I was a kid, all the way through this moment practically. And
so let's help the audience understand how that happened. It really just happened what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It started with a series of questions where I would just ask you open-ended questions and I would listen. And as you spoke, I would type notes and listen to what I heard and then try and take what you said to work with you, because at the end of the day, it's really you, and say, Mario, is this what I understood happened? And so we're trying to provide the reader or the stakeholders, whether it's the probation officer, the federal judge, the U.S. attorney, the prison officials, the people that are going to supervise you when you come home, all of those people, our goal was to get them to understand Mario Hernandez. Who is Mario as a human being?
Yes.
And hopefully help people see Mario as a human being rather than as only the criminal charge, which is really what's going to happen for people who don't do the level of work that you did.
That's it. That's practically it. And I mean, what I could advise to anybody doing this is be open. Be open. I mean, if they work with you or with whomever they work, be open about it. Really, come on. Nobody is born being a criminal. You turn for some reason or the other, and the criminal system, the judge, at least the one that I got, really wanted to know what got me to that point. And he saw a human being. He saw Mario, the father, the son, the brother. You know, he saw Mario, the actor, the lover. He saw all those things thanks to that narrative. There's no way
that narrative was a start, and and I would agree with you. That narrative really helps those who are reading you read the full picture and not just the crime, which is what the government will focus on, just the crime. It's our job to help you show all the layers of who you are. And then there was more, though. There was more than just the narrative, which is a lengthy document. Then there was a series of work that you personally had to do to show that you weren't just this guy just talking about change, talking about what your life was, but really demonstrating the work. And could you walk us through what that looked like?
Yes. I want to say something about the narrative. It was great for me to have a narrative from the beginning because the probation officer got it. So everything that the judge read, the probation officer, the prosecutor, the memo my lawyer sent, and my narrative had the same story, one way or the other. I have been in sales, and when you're in sales, you want to say, your salesman has to say the same thing your manager and your closer says. That's the only way the buyer is going to understand what's going on. So everybody talked about the same thing. It's really important from the beginning. You get the narrative, everybody gets that narrative, everybody will talk about the same thing one way or the other, and that's going to get through. If I only talked about it and nobody else did, it was just going to be my word.
But you also said that's a very good point, because when you're getting the probation officer to weave your story into the document, you actually influence the entire prison experience.
That's right.
You also mentioned that there was more work that followed, and you wanted to be not just this person where you're only talking about it, you also want to demonstrate that you're authentic and you're real. And I would love for you to elaborate a little bit about how you built that story ongoing after you wrote the narrative.
Yes. So that's the next work we did. It was 9 chapters of work. And it didn't just help the judge see my objectives for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, my life objectives. It helped me, to be honest. I mean, even if the judge hadn't seen that, I have a different perspective of life and what I have to do. So we worked on morals, ethics, really, really do an introspective, retrospective work. And honestly, the best thing, aside from the fact that the judge read it and knows that I have a planned, a life plan, he knows, he said it on court. He did mention it. That was one of the things that helped me, and pretty much the guy was scratching his head trying to help me lower the sentence.
That is awesome. When you say that it was 9 modules, I think there's actually 10 modules. You're cutting yourself short. Give our audience a little bit of an understanding of how long it took you to read the modules and then go through the exercises that helped you give him a tangible body of work. How much work was involved in each one of those modules?
Reading them didn't take too long. Working on them, because you have to work with yourself. You have to dig in. Mm-hmm. I would advise anybody to just take a dive. Just take a big dive and let it all out, to be honest. How did I affect society with my crime? Living up to your mistakes, accepting your mistakes. That's basic. There's no way, there's no justification, and really that this work really helped me do that. You cannot blame anybody of your actions. There's no way around it.
So the other important, I think, resource that provides for a client is when a client is brought into the criminal justice system, it is natural to be thinking about, oh my God, what is happening to me? How am I getting influenced by this? But that's really not what's going to move the needle in the judicial system. We've got to instead think about who are the victims of this crime and how did my behavior influence other people? And that's part of what that whole module system is designed to do, is to keep a man like you on track, not looking at it from what's happening to you, but rather looking at it, what is the perspective of the other people who are judging me? And when you do that, you significantly are psychologically helping those who are going to judge you see this person is different from everybody who comes before me. And that makes that person worthy of the best possible outcome.
That's right. I mean, I think that's the most important thing that you get from the program. Understanding that your actions have affected your community and society. And if that follows through to the judge, I mean, if the judge gets that you are aware of that, that's a big step. That's a huge step. You can hold accountable a lot of people, but it's you that make the decision. It's you that make the crime, and that's what they want to hear. I made the crime. I made that mistake, and I am willing to do whatever is necessary to amends for my mistakes. To make amends, to atone for my mistakes. If the judge can see that through your work, you are in good standing. There's no way around it. That's what I saw in Judge Bataglia's face and eyes and words and the tone of his words. The work was there. The other thing I really liked is, yes, it did give me a purpose in life. What I did has become the cornerstone of my new life. I do want to take this message of what I went through and the situation and the circumstances that got me to that point. I want to take them out there. I want to share what I went through. And if it's possible for me to help one person or whomever listens to what I have to say, if it's possible for me to help someone else, then definitely I'm going to be on the right path of what I learned through our work.
Well, you're definitely on the right path, and we're very grateful to have had an opportunity to work with you and to have played some small role, and I will say it as a small role in getting you the outcome that you've done, because the big role is really, as your attorney said, is what you've done. You've put the work together, you put the work in, and because you were able to provide your judge with a substantial body of work, you differentiated yourself from everybody else, and you were not this guy who just said he was sorry and I want to get out and I'm going to miss my wife and kids. You were a guy who actually recognized with the victims of the crime itself. You were totally transparent and open, and that's what moved the needle for you. Mario, I know that you've got a lot more to say, and I think that we should be offering that story. So what I'd like to do is close out this interview and perhaps do a couple of others where we're going to talk a little bit about what brought you into the system, and then talk a little bit about how the work that you did helped you overcome problems that could have had a catastrophic outcome. And if that's okay with you, you've got time, I'd like to do 2 more interviews with you so that people can see, and we'll keep them all about 20 minutes. So, it's easy for people to watch. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Let me close this one out, make sure it's recorded well, and we'll do it. We'll come back with episode number 2.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. I'm Michael with Prison Professors. I want to thank my partners, Justin Paperny and Sean Hopwood, for giving me this opportunity to speak with Mario and learn about the outcome that he received by preparing himself for sentencing and the journey ahead. Thank you.